Facebook world. Hello, Vox Wave world. Hello, YouTube world.
Hello,
This
world.
is Hello
Period.
World. This is Four Sisters Live Part 2. The conversation continues. My name is Linda Powell, and this is our guest,
Julie Rogers.
Julie Rogers. And of course, we have
Peggy Morris.
and our Sister for Sister Live guest host,
Florence Champagne.
and we are representing Health and Wellness Saturday. So today we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to all of our hearts and souls.
I like that.
Especially the heart
Especially
part.
the heart part,
yeah.
because we have our Florence here who talks about our heart. And you know, we have to pump some good and clean blood to that heart, right?
That's right.
Because
That's
that junk
right.
starts building up in our system
It
as
does. It
over
does.
the years, from the time you're born until you leave here. Everything that you're breathing in, everything that you are eating, everything that you're jumping into, that pool and everything else,
It builds up.
It builds up.
It
up
builds
in
the
your
arteries,
system.
yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. I know you never thought about it, but you know, you really have to clean from the inside out. So that's what we're
right.
talking about.
That's right.
If you were on the first half, you heard Florence talk about your heart and how important it is to take care of your heart, to pay attention to the signs. We get signs all the time. It's not just because we're getting old. Just because you get old does not mean you're supposed to be short of breath.
That's
No.
right.
That's right.
Just
That's
because you
right.
get old does not mean that, oh, I got an ache and pain. That's not saying that you're old. That's saying that your number one, your joints are getting a little rusty and dusty because you got some stuff in between those joints. You got to keep those joints moving, and you have to nourish your joints with water, not Kool-Aid, not that iced
Not
tea
that
with
soda.
all that
Not
sugar.
the Kool-Aid.
Not that soda. You need real clean water, and I prefer alkaline water because alkaline water is the closest thing that we can get to spring water. And that's what God gave us. He gave us spring water, okay? He gave us water that He created. So as close as I know to get to that would be alkaline water, and you can get alkaline water through different sources now. Not only an alkaline machine, which is what I have, but we'll talk about that on another segment. Having an alkaline water machine in your home is something that you should always have, because every now and then you get this report from the water company that something's happening. They say, I'm sorry, you have to boil your water this weekend. What? So you never know, because by the time they find out, you've already drank some water. Too late. You've already
It's too
bathed
late.
in that water. Okay, so you want to make sure that you be the CEO of your body.
There you go.
You
Love
take
it.
care of you. Don't let the world take care of you. You educate yourself. You can read about it. You can go on YouTube. You can go to Google. Find out and listen to health professionals, especially your nutraceutical people, your people that have natural health, you know, because we don't want to put all those chemicals. Keep in mind that when we have to go to our doctors. They're going to fill us up with those pills. But, you know, be the CEO of your body. Take your pills, but also take care of your body. Take care of take your vitamins. You could go to the store and get your vitamins, but eat your fruits and vegetables. As easy as that. Not only just fruits and vegetables, also eat organic fruits and vegetables. That's the key. That means that pesticide and the way they grow, it's not going to affect you later on. Because these are the toxins that we want to take out of your body. They come from the foods that you eat, that you thought you were eating that wonderful, fresh, conventional apple. That's how they label it at Whole Foods. Conventional. Conventional. And I always go to the organic side. You know, I say, okay, so at least I know it's grown. And I'll tell you why. Because growing up, I grew up here I'm from Washington. I'm a Washingtonian. But my parents and my grandparents were from Virginia. My grandfather was a farmer. He farmed tobacco and fruits and vegetables, and that's how they raised their families years ago, on farms in some places. So I could always go out there, eat the watermelon, eat the fruits, eat the vegetables, eat those peaches, and I was doing this growing up. Then all of a sudden, when I turned about 20-some years old, all of a sudden I went to the market on 5th Street to get a watermelon. So a whole bunch of us after work, it made me sick immediately.
Wow.
And from that point on, I could not eat any raw fruits and vegetables coming from the market, and I couldn't understand that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just finding out in the last few years. I had to find a way to what was happening. My body was not. I was not allergic. I thought I was allergic. No, I wasn't allergic because I grew up on it when I was a kid. It was the pesticides
They
and the
sprayed
way
on it.
the farmers were growing.
Yes.
So back in the 70s, they started growing things differently that you were getting from the market. And it affected me
That's right.
for all of my life.
Yep.
I had to, eventually what I had to do to eat a salad, I would have to saute it with rice vinegar. Rice vinegar.
that's
And that would change the taste, but at least I could eat it fresh. That's as close to fresh as I could get.
And the
Everything-
acidity of the vinegar would actually neutralize a lot
That's
of
what
the
it
toxins that
that's
was on
what
the
was
vegetables.
I didn't
yeah.
know that until now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah.
You're right. I wish I
Yeah.
knew you. I wish I knew you 20 years ago because the doctors just said, "Oh, your body's not allergic to it. You just can't eat it in its form." But they never gave me an answer.
Yeah.
They
Because it's been altered.
It's
See,
been
GMOs and all of this kind of stuff is not new. They're just talking about it
Talking
now.
about it, yeah.
But they've been using GMOs in our fruits and vegetables and experimenting for decades.
Yes.
It's just that the people in the natural industry started getting louder and louder, and we finally got lobbyists that spoke as loudly as the chemical companies. So they forced these companies to now tell us that there's GMOs or there's not GMOs.
Right.
Genetically modified is what.
So tell me, what is up with the seedless watermelon?
Oh,
Again,
my goodness.
yeah.
What is up?
And you ask a wonderful question
Yes,
because
that is.
herein is the problem. Again, this is how they're genetically altering our fruits and our vegetables.
Playing God.
Yeah. And when you make a watermelon or any kind of food seedless, what you also are doing is making it unproductive.
Right,
And so as women particularly, you're wondering why the levels of infertility are going up
Yeah.
in with the listen. Listen, down through the millennia, particularly women of color have not had problems having babies.
That's true.
That has been classically, predominantly a Caucasian sister tragedy.
Right.
You know, where our Caucasian sisters struggle to have babies.
Yeah.
And that's where we get all of our fertility clinics and things like that. They did a thing where they actually put stuff in the water in places in India and Africa, and it did not curtail births at all.
At all,
I mean, so we
exactly.
have always been, as a people of color, very vibrant in reproduction until now, until the last 50 years, because of the things that they're doing now,
Genetically modified.
seedless grapes, seedless watermelon, everything,
Don't buy 'em.
they're genetically engineering those things. Food is that grows from the ground is supposed to have seeds.
They don't
in them.
even. They don't even
Exactly.
taste the same.
They
don't
don't.
taste
I
the same.
know
They
that.
don't.
That's
I've
They don't.
noticed a pattern because the seedless watermelons are smaller,
Yes.
and they sell them for a cheaper price, but they don't taste the same. I'm like, why
And part
can't
of
I
the
get a
reason
sweet
why, not
watermelon
because
anymore?
the reason why you're not getting sweet watermelons, sweet apples, a tomato you used to be able
God,
to eat
yeah.
like an apple.
Take the salt shaker to
and
the
just
garden
and
like
just
I used
and
to
just
do.
pull it up and
Yes.
go. And you could still do that if you're growing it yourself.
yourself.
But
Right.
when you're buying it from the store, what you have to understand is that they're flash growing the vegetable. They spray it with something called
It's about
nitric
money.
oxide,
about
and what that does is it makes the color come into the vegetable or the fruit, but it's not pulling on anything because it's not in the soil. So they pick it before it's ripe. And
then-
in transit,
Yeah.
they spray it with this oxide stuff that makes the color come in. So what you get is a fruit or a vegetable that's beautiful, and you bite into it, and it tastes like nothing.
Nothing.
Because it hasn't drawn
good
from
information.
from a
This is
nutrient
really
source.
good
That's the
information.
tip
I
of
knew-
the iceberg. You know, and we're
That's
gonna
a show all by itself,
Right, so we're
what
going
we're
to
doing to it.
continue that conversation.
But just to pull it together, Linda.
Yeah.
So what we have here is a situation where even our organic foods, your organic food is as good as the farm it sits next to. Because if your organic
Exactly.
farm is sitting next to a farm that is not organic and that farm is spraying, because
defeating
that
the
spray
purpose.
it floats over, you might
Yeah.
get less,
Yeah.
but you're getting some.
Exactly.
Thus the need that even if you are eating a wonderful diet and you are eating as much organic as you possibly can, the need to detox is still necessary.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. We live in a supplemental detoxifying necessity society now. So I don't want to hear my grandmama did this. You do not breathe the same air, eat the same food, or drink the same food as drink the same water as your grandmother did.
Yeah.
Not to mention the soil is not the same.
And the
because
soil.
They have destroyed
That's
the
right.
soil.
Exactly.
And that, by the way, for those of you who are going to accuse us of being tree huggers, that came from the United States Department of Agriculture. That was the report they put out.
That's right.
That because of poor crop rotation, there is tremendous soil depletion, and we have to supplement our diets. We have to supplement our diets.
Well, as you can see, this is going to be an exciting segment. It's going to get and it's going to
I'm
be.
a little fired up. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to ratchet back a little bit. I'm going to calm down
Tell
some.
the family to come and sit down and watch this. We're about to demonstrate. We're going to show you the toxins in your body. We're going to do a Dr. Oz on you.
Oh my goodness
We're going
gracious.
to show you. We're going to break it down. Okay.
Yes.
So I want you all to come back. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. See ya. Well, I just want to give you a little information on my guest, Julie. Julie Rogers. She's an herbalist, holistic skin specialist, makeup artist, and that's my makeup guys. And also,
Peggy's.
and Peggy's, right? makeup artist and the creator of Color and Soul Mineral Cosmetics for women of color, featuring Club Color and Soul, the beauty box that talks. All right, we got something.
Y'all don't know
new.
about that yet.
We'll know about
that's
that.
what I came in. Yeah,
The
yeah.
beauty box that talks. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to introduce to you my makeup artist and Peggy's makeup artist.
And soon to be Florence's makeup artist.
I'm Susie. Lord, and Florence. Well, and also we have over there in the corner. She's been
getting a nice little foot soak here.
We got a foot special for you today.
Real bad.
Well, no, we want to take this thing. You're putting foods, as you can see, in your body that your body has not a clue what you're doing to it. When you put a seedless watermelon in your body, and God said,
stuck on the watermelon.
What the heck?
You know it's wrong.
And you know your body knows it's wrong. God knows it's wrong too. But your body knows. He said, because I created everything the way I wanted it, and now you went and messed it up. So we're going to talk to you, remember, about those seedless vegetables, seedless fruits that you purchase. Think about it. Go to the organic side, and I'm asking you to go organic. We're going to talk about detoxing, and we're going to talk about hemp oil. I'm sure you've heard about hemp oil. You've heard the positives, and the news throws out some negatives. But that's also made by God from a hemp plant, a hemp seed. And, we really have to be, again, the CEO of our bodies, and you have to read. Don't believe everything that you hear. And then the government, of course, is here to tell us that, but they realize that the heat has been put on them, and I guess we better legalize this, right? Well, it was always legal. If you look at the first American flag, it was made from hemp fabric. Okay,
right.
They didn't tell you that. So hemp has been legal for a very long time. The government just could not. Those ropes that hold those boats and those ships? That's hemp, guys. I just want to let you know. That's come from the hemp plant. The hemp plant is the strongest fiber known to man. It's stronger than steel. You don't see them hooking up a steel pipe to those boats. You hear the rope.
That's right.
And it's really hemp. It's a hemp plant. So from that hemp plant, you get hemp oil. And the company that I represent, that I have, and I've been taking, and Peggy has tried, and
Love it.
And if it had not been for Julie, I would have never known about the hemp oil, because I knew about the industrial hemp. I knew that you can build a house with a hemp plant. I knew that. They're doing that in North Carolina. They've legalized marijuana in certain states and in the District of Columbia. Not for the sale yet, but it's legal for medicinal reasons, because they couldn't keep it away from us. People are having all kinds of conditions that's being helped by using the hemp plant. The stem of the hemp is vital to our existence in this world. And so, but the government, I'm sure, or other forces, they have to figure out a way how to tax us, how to make the money on it, and all of those type things. Keep in mind that God made it, okay? So, and it wasn't seedless. And I want to tell you something else that I learned. Corn, we eat corn every day, corn chips, and I eat too many corn chips, and I am a popcorn addict. I can say that. I need to go to a development for that. But, because I eat popcorn, eat too much. But corn, that's something else that's created, whether you realize it or not. God didn't make that corn, y'all. I just want to let y'all know. You better read about it. They got you on corn.
And that's the reason why it's undigestible.
That's why you're big
it.
as a house.
Yeah.
That's why you got this belly like me. It's
which
that
is
corn.
toxin.
It's toxic. And I want to tell you, I've learned that if you grew a hemp plant, you wouldn't even have to worry about the soil, because it self-nourishes and it'll grow back. Corn, you have to plant every year, right?
And it leaches the soil.
And it leaches the soil of its vitamins. So that is the reason why.
Y'all guys are just
okay, I just want to let you know. All we have to do is just read. It's in a book, or you can go to YouTube. We're on YouTube. Go to YouTube and look up corn. How was it originally made? All those things can be Googled. Hemp oil itself, you put it in our hemp oil, you put it in your body, you put it under your tongue, it goes into your blood vessels, it goes into your brain, it goes out to your body throughout your blood system. The blood system goes to your heart. Think about your heart. That's why you need hemp oil. There's so many, if you go to Google, you'll see paralysis and so many conditions have been helped through
Well,
hemp
it has been
oil.
historically known to help. We got to be real careful in our languaging because I don't want cops showing up telling you practice medicine without a license.
No, we don't. We're not medical.
So
that statement
we say when it comes to herbs and supplements, what we talk about is what these things have been historically known to do.
Right.
See, long before the last 175 years before the creation of the AMA.
What's the AMA?
The American Medical Association. American Medical Association. Naturopathic doctors and allopathic doctors. Allo meaning doctors that use drugs. Okay. Versus natural doctors, but they practiced in hospitals together, and with when the AMA comes into being and connects with Big Farm, and I mean PHARM, not FARM,
Right.
you get all of a sudden this attack on the natural community, and all of a sudden osteopathic doctors get singled out and canceled out of the equation, and because osteopathic doctors were the ones who were using garlic for someone's blood pressure,
Right, exactly.
who said, start with this first, and all of a sudden allopathy becomes like, this is the one that is FDA approved. Well, can somebody say Fen? That was FDA approved. How many hearts did that weight loss drug that was FDA approved, how many hearts did that destroy? Okay?
Wow.
And it was after trials and studies and everything else, and all of a sudden we get the recall because people's valves were collapsing and all kinds of terrible things were happening to them after an FDA approved drug came onto the market. So come on, guys. We have to exercise our common sense.
Okay.
But we need to get over here so we can...
We're going to segue, and because we got some excitement for you.
Yeah.
Julie is going to explain to you how to detox.
Through your feet.
Through your feet.
Through your feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here we have our lovely Wyoming Paris here as our model.
Yes, and what I want you to see real quick, because I've got to hit this button, and then we can talk because this takes a little time, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
So what I want you to see, guys, is, oops, I'm in the way of the camera. The water is clear, okay?
Right.
And
Clear
you see,
water.
and
See
you
her toes, wiggle your toes.
Why you don't have to
Okay.
wiggle your toes?
Okay,
girl.
she did.
But anyway,
It's
so
clear.
don't wiggle your toes anymore because we don't want to mix things up.
Okay.
You see this little black thing in the water? That's called an array. And so what we're doing is we're creating a current connection, okay? She doesn't feel anything. It's completely painless, but it's designed to do something. So I'm going to hit the button, and I'm going to explain to you what it's designed to do, okay?
Ooh, here we go,
All
y'all.
right, here we go. But this is called ionic foot detoxification. Great, okay. And so and ionic foot detoxification takes about 30 minutes to do. So that's why. But you're going to start.
Can we do it in 20?
Yeah, you're going to start seeing changes
see
in the
the
water.
change in the water.
You're going to start
That's
seeing
good.
changes, but I wanted you to see that it was clear first.
Right.
Now, let's talk about your feet for a second.
Right.
Your feet have 10,000 pores at the soles of your feet. There's 10,000 pores at the soles of your feet. So that's why if the hard day's work and walking around in heels or whatever, or just on your feet, and when you sit and you soak your feet in Epsom salt, which is magnesium salt, magnesium relaxes muscles, and so your body absorbs, your feet absorb that. It's also why it's very important that you take some time to go to a place that you know has a big stretch of grass that had pesticides sprayed on it, and walk in the grass. It's things about, energy, connecting your body to the earth. So there's an energetic thing that is important right in there. But your feet absorb. So in this particular system, what we have done is we have reversed the polarity. So when the pores open up, toxins release from.
Wow.
Each one, depending on what area of your body that it's pulling on, the colors in the water change.
starting to change
And it's starting
already.
to change
Yeah.
already. It's starting to change already. And so the way that the water, and I was asking why not to splash around, because I want to keep the colors and all of the elements separate. But this is a way. Now, because I don't like hockeyism, all right? 20 to 30% of what you see in the water is the actual contaminants in the water. This is just regular tap water. but the other 70 to 80% is coming from the person.
From the person.
And
Wow.
what I would have loved, we just didn't have the space for it, but if we could have had 2 people sitting here, because this machine works on 2 people at the same time, I'm able to kind of work with, because we're going to have a foot detox party.
We've already
We're
discussed
planning
the
that.
party.
We're having a party. Y'all invited to the party, okay? So, because I can do 6 people at a time.
Oh, awesome.
But what's happening is, and she doesn't feel anything, but it's drawing, and there's these chemical changes that happen. So right now, what we're looking at and the way that the water is changing, you see it's changing into this orangey color. That's a sign that it's sort of pulling on the joints. So I would be asking, was there any kind of aches or pains in the knees, elbows, shoulders, anything like that? I would have questions about that. I'm looking now at so far that's where we're pulling. We're starting to pull just.
What I'm looking at is coming up.
Yep.
Pulling.
Yes. So right now we're dealing with joints and muscles. Okay. So what will happen is, depending on, for instance, if she's having a problem, let's say digestion, and her gallbladder is acting funny and she's not digesting protein, then all of a sudden we start seeing something green or look like moss coming up in the water. Okay. Or if you see like it looks like cheesy like particles in the water, that's yeast. If it looks like butter, that's cholesterol. So it's telling you what the kinds of toxins are pulling from the body. Now, the beautiful thing about ionic foot detoxification is it's a very gentle kind of a cleanse. As an example, I had a client, she, because of an illness, she ended up with a colostomy bag.
Oh, wow.
So now your colon is on the outside of your body. And now you're taking the toxins that's supposed to be in your colon are being transferred to a plastic bag that you now have to physically dump. It saves your life, but it's an inefficient way. And so she was chronically in pain with joint pains and things like that from so many toxins in her system. But she couldn't take herbs to clean her colon out. So this way, she would, foot detoxification is very gentle, it's very easy on the system, and so for weaker people, it doesn't.
This is a monitor?
This makes the connection between you in the water and the machine. So this is a circuit that's going on. And and that's what's causing the pores on the soles of your feet to open up and release.
My question is, does the temperature of the water change, or is it just...
The water stays the same. Usually we put you in water as warm as you can stand it because we want circulation to get going.
Right.
But even if the water is a little bit warm or a little bit cool, it will still work.
Gotcha.
It will still work. So ionic foot detoxification is done in a series. It's not like it's not a one-time thing. I always believe some therapy is better than no therapy.
Right.
But in a complete therapy, what you would do is either come twice a week for 7 weeks or once a week for 14 weeks. And she came twice a week for 14 weeks because her condition was very extreme. But what she reported back to me was that her joint pains went down, she got better rest and things because there was so many more toxins able to get out of her body in a very gentle way that didn't tax her system. And her health is great. She's off the colostomy bag and she's doing great. So she's just a report. I'm not saying this did that. I'm saying she's better. And this helped her on that journey. Because that's what these are the tools that I use as an herbalist. My particular focus is analytics and helping you to select your nutrients based on the root cause of why your body is reacting the way that it's acting. So let's say that you have congestion. There's several reasons why your sinuses would be clogged. It doesn't have to be that you have a respiratory problem. If you have a blocked up colon, you will have sinus problems. If your liver is congested, it will make your nose run. If you have allergies, which is an immune system challenge, it'll cause a histamine reaction and your nose will run. So the point is not, I have a chronic runny nose. The question is, why? And so I use techniques like iridology, body health awareness muscle testing, and foot detoxification as examples to help me to ask the right questions that will help you to target where you're applying your nutrition. Now, there's
Wow.
some baseline
Good
things that you need.
And and all this is the natural way of doing things.
Yes.
You know, we're doing things with modern technology, but we're not taking away from, we're not popping any pills or anything of that nature. We're just using common sense and some simple electronics to actually pull.
To actually identify where we need to do the work and all that. Now, if we can go back, I want you to see that little bubbles are starting to form. You see the little bubbles that are starting to form? Okay, so now what that's working on is the digestive system. And so while you're sitting there in the water, I will start asking you questions about how your digestion. Are you having any problems with indigestion? If you eat a meal and you say you eat something at lunch and you belch at dinner, you can still taste your lunch. Things like that. That's a sign that you're not digesting your food.
Wow.
And now your food is rotting in your stomach because it isn't. And then we wonder why we're having these digestive issues. It is saying that it is pulling from there. What it's saying is that there's maybe some also challenges to the immune system. So then it would lead me to ask you questions about whether or not, like if you get colds frequently, or you're always headachy and little immune system things like that.
But look at the color. Look how.
Yeah, and
you
so
can see
see,
the
it is
color.
still very orange. So we're still pulling on muscle and joints. And
So does that mean she has some areas like in her muscles and joints that
I would
may
be
need
asking her those
attention?
kind of questions, like have you been having any knee problems, or have you strained a muscle, or are you into, like, if she was into like working out, like say you newly started working out, your body will build up a lot of uric acid, and it'll make your muscles sore, and so this is helping to pull that out. So right now you're staying on joints, but you see now how the bubbles are really starting to build up. So that therein is, like I said, immune and your digestive system and your lymphatic system.
Wow.
Okay. So,
I have a question. So does it relieve the pain? Like if she did have joint pain?
some people, everybody
Does
is
it pull
different.
it out
There's
of-
some people, they don't start to feel a difference until maybe several sessions down. And then there are those like one of my clients, she walked in on a cane and she's hobbling and she couldn't, she had to pull, it was something in her back, but she had to pull her foot up onto her knee to take her sock off to put it in the water. Afterward, she finished, we rinsed her feet off. She bent down at the waist and was pulling on her socks, and all of a sudden went, and she jumped up straight. I couldn't do that. So there are some people. Everybody's body is different, and so there's some people who after a session they have an extra bowel movement. There's some people who urinate more. There's some people who feel very relaxed, and there's some people who feel kind of anxious because there's still toxins and things swimming around.
And that energy,
so
sometimes they get
everybody's
energy,
very, and some
mentally
people get energy.
as
So
you detox.
each
You're
body,
releasing, you're
you're
releasing.
releasing. Yes.
You're
So
releasing.
you see now, and so see now we're moving into. You see how the water is starting to get a little brown.
Right.
That's now we're showing work on the liver, but it's still more on the joints. The joints are still doing a lot of pull. So you started a new workout?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and when you start that workout, the first thing your body will burn, especially if you didn't detox before you started your workout, the first thing your body's going to burn is trash. It's going to burn toxins first. That's why a lot of people, they'll say, I work out, but I really don't feel hungry. It's because your body's feeding on your toxins. It's feeding on the toxins in your fat. And then as you clean out and detoxify your system, all of a sudden your hunger responses will come back on and you'll start eating at appropriate times.
So would that change to a different color if it's gravitating to another part of
Yes,
the
if
organ?
let's say, for instance, like I said, if it was gravitating, say, towards the gallbladder, then there'll be all this green moss. Sometimes it look like moss growing out of the water.
I was in her office the first time I saw it to get my makeup, and there happened to be a client there, and it was, it's like, what on earth? It is shocking because, it was greenish, murky looking.
Now it's pulling on. So now let's look back at it again. And if you look outside of the bubbles, you see that it looks like butter in the water. That's a liver pull, and that's a sign of cholesterol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a sign.
So it's actually
Well, I can't tell one way or the other because this is not designed to diagnose. This is designed to bring attention and start. So you might say, okay, I'm going to do this. What this says to me as your practitioner is that we need to work on cleansing the liver.
Okay.
That's what that's in a nutshell. That's what it's saying. We need to work on cleansing the liver.
We got something for that.
Right. That will. And so the detoxification that Linda is talking about, that's why you want to detoxify, because the liver is very regenerative. You could chop off a piece of your liver and it will grow back. It will grow back. It's one of your liver is almost as regenerative as your skin and your nails and your. You have one liver. You have two kidneys.
So it comes back. That makes sense. You know,
so
God
your
gave
liver
us
can
two of
grow back.
Almost of everything.
Yes.
But I just noticed, you only have
You
one
only have
liver. But I didn't know it grows back.
Yes.
So he even made it to degenerate
Yeah. So
itself.
right now you're right
Generate
at
itself.
liver and at your immune and digestive system, and we're still pulling on the joints because the water is still very orangey. It's a fascinating thing to see, because like I said, I'm able to work with 6 people at a time, and to see 6 people sitting together using the same tap water, and all of their buckets look different. Everybody is different.
So let me ask you something.
Sure.
So what is the cost for that type of service?
A foot detox starts off at $50, and just for one, but the cost goes down from there if in the course of a series, depending on how many you get.
I think we'll take a break.
Okay. Collectively take some of the products.
Absolutely, and that's the whole key. This is a supplement to a program. Linda and I both wish that there was some magic, one pill, one panacea
For everything.
for everything. It's just not true.
And we're gonna break for about 2 minutes, 1 minute. We gotta have a commercial. We have any commercials we need to do? We'll be right back in 1 minute because we want to see what's going on. This is so exciting.
Stay
We
tuned.
lost track
See
of
what the
time,
change, yeah.
and we didn't want to leave you, but we got to leave you for a minute. We'll be right back.
Right back.
Woo. Oh goodness! So let's go.
What happens is
left in this segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we're back.
Everybody's into the foot bath.
We are all
Everybody.
into it. We
Yeah.
want to see the
So
colors.
it's different.
We wish you could see this. You could see, but we wish you could see it live. But anyway,
It's
we're gonna.
so different.
But we just want to
Thank
thank
you,
Julie
guys.
for
You see?
coming with all of this information. Look at those bubbles, y'all. Ooh.
And that's the buttery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
that's
Educating
that's
us,
pulling
Judy.
and working on
Educate
the
us.
liver. And so this is a client that if I see this, I'm right here. I'm like, okay, we need to do some detoxification. The liver is a filter, and so whenever you consume alcohol, drugs, any kind of chemicals, it is the liver that's filtering and processing that out of your blood.
And that's how we wear out the liver.
And that's how you wear it out.
You wear
yes.
it out, you know.
Yeah,
because
but the liver is such a strong, powerful
it's
thing.
strong.
But the liver not only is responsible for filtering toxins out, the liver plays a key role in your blood sugar levels. It's like while everybody is focusing on the pancreas in a diabetic situation, it's the pancreas is dealing with sugar, fat, and protein. The enzymes that the pancreas puts out, but the liver is the one that deals primarily with the with sugar. So the liver plays a
So
huge
that
role.
is-
Other than putting out bile, liver puts out bile to help you to break down fat. Okay? And that's why the gallbladder is so important and can lead to stones in the liver when they snatch out your gallbladder. 50%, like I said, in my analytics that I do with my clients, 50% of the people that come to me don't have their gallbladders, followed by uteruses.
What?
Wow.
They just, I mean, like
Oh my
half.
goodness.
I'd say, do you still have? Because there's non-invasive ways that the body tells me how to ask questions.
Right, right.
And so in the consultation, that's what happens. So when we're talking about detoxifying, herbs that are considered bitter herbs, which is contained in some of the things that Linda works with, bitter herbs make the body squeeze, and it draws things out so that the body can expel it, okay? So, you have mucilaginous herbs. These are herbs like slippery elm that they literally, when you put them in your mouth, they turn to gel.
What, dandelion?
Dandelion is a
That's what's
bitter.
in the product,
Dandelion is a
yeah.
bitter, and then you also have astringent kinds of herbs that help to tighten things up. So if something draws out, a mucilaginous herb will collect, it'll absorb. So like charcoal would be considered something that absorbs. And so charcoal is long before they had, Pepto-Bismol or any of those kind of things. Charcoal, activated charcoal, will absorb all kinds of poisons. Matter of fact, when they talk about pumping your stomach,
Right.
what they pump your stomach with is charcoal.
Really?
Wow.
It absorbs the poison,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you regurgitate.
Yeah.
But it's not they pumping water; they pump charcoal
Charcoal.
in that, and it absorbs the poison as you're throwing it up.
Wow.
So charcoal has so many powerful. As a skin specialist, I use charcoal masks. If I get a client who comes in who's got what they call contact dermatitis, where they've used some kind of product, or they were just cleaning, or they did construction or extermination in the office, and it got on the skin, and now they're itching and rashy, I will use a charcoal cleanser and a charcoal mask to absorb,
Take it out.
to take it and soothe the skin.
Wow.
So these are some of the principal, those are the kinds of components when you're looking for a good detox. You want to look for things that have ingredients like this.
Like that.
And those are your natural
Those are your
ingredients.
natural ingredients,
The charcoal
yes.
is natural. It is natural. So,
I'm telling you.
it's amazing
powerful
that what we don't
information.
know.
Yes, it really
and
is.
It's amazing what we do to our bodies because we
And
don't
it's also
know.
very important
But
to
we
know
can
you
turn
have
it
those
around.
choices.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
I want to let you know that you can turn
turn
all
it
of
around.
most of your conditions. You can turn around because God created us that just like your liver can, can grow. I didn't know that, but yeah, we have to just pay attention to the foods. And once I've heard so many cases, even with me, I was able to clean out my system to reverse the conditions that I have. I want to thank Julie. We're gonna take
We're going to
another.
think, why?
Thank why for being our we want to thank. We want to thank Florence for coming out, and this is going to be continued.
Yeah.
We might have to continue it on Facebook. Oh
With cream.
no, we don't want any cream. We want any tea. We want to thank you for coming out today. We want you to go and read about your body. We want you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Judy.
Miss Julie at colorandsoul.com. Colorandsoul.com.
Come to the health fair.
Yes.
Health fair. And you can go to lindapowell24@gmail.com.
Wow, God.
Sister for Sister Network.
Yeah, you can contact us at 240-678-0117.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. You all have a blessed week.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. And remember, stay away from that cheese. It's going to build up.